Hello and welcome to Talk FC Bay and welcome back here to the channel, guys. Of course, we have to analyse that game in a bit more detail. United against Barca, it wasn't the glittering performance that we were hoping for, but I think there's some really important things here that we've got to sit down, that we have to appreciate, certainly learn from as well ahead of that second leg. And not even just that second leg really, just in general, if we do get through this tie, which we'll expect to do with that goal lead, getting to the semi-finals, then getting to the final if we can, there are things that we have to learn from, things we've got to improve on. Certainly, in this video, we're looking at all that and some more. But I want to kick off here with just one fact, and it was something that I mentioned yesterday in the match review video, and it's basically the United yesterday didn't have a single shot on goal. Now, I myself, of course, live in the UK. I've got to deal with the English media at all times, which is absolutely excruciating to the highest degree. And they were going on yesterday about how United, how good they were, how well they played, how much they'd raised their level, how bad Barcelona were, how it was the worst performance in Barca in the Champions League they could remember, but all at the same time, as bad as we technically were, as much as we technically underperformed on the night, and as good as United were, they raised their level, they certainly did last night, under Solskjaer, they still lost, and they lost not having a single shot on goal. That was the first time since 2005, so 14 years ago, in the Champions League, that United finished a game without a single shot on target, and we did that, and it wasn't by luck. United, I think, in the final third were wasteful, they didn't have a lot of cutting edge, but at the same time, we stopped them. Every time the door was there, the door they thought was open, we slammed it shut. Firmly in their face, we stopped them scoring, and we stopped them having any shot on goal to trouble Ter Stegen. And the driving force behind that, I have to say this before I go into any tactical aspect, was Gerard Piqué. He, for me, was the outright man of the match, not only in terms of Barcelona, but both teams put together. He was outstanding at the back, not only in the way that he defended, but the way that he led the team, the way that he really carried us through that game. And you can see his influence out there on the field, game in, game out. This man steps up, he takes on the mantle, he really does put his heart and soul on the line now for the club. And I think yesterday, he was outstanding in terms of aerial battles, crosses coming into the box. United put a lot of balls in there. Piqué rising highest every single time to get them away. He was quickest to the ball. A few times he had duels with Marcus Rashford. He came out on top, and certainly there he won us that game, because it certainly would have been a very, very tense moment had Martial got onto that pass, slide rule pass in the second half. He was into the box. Piqué then comes out of nowhere, sliding challenge, gets the ball away, a last-ditch block, a phenomenal tackle, and ultimately that gave us there the clean sheet that was so vital. And then there's Nelson Semedo, a player who was brought in last night for Sergio Roberto. A bit of a surprise, I have to say, although I was hoping that he would get the nod in this kind of game, so I think we can certainly use him against this kind of opposition to really play well. And I thought he had a very, very solid game at right back there. We'll see in a minute that he was up against two United players in Luke Shaw and Dalot for most of the game, and certainly he did very well, not only defensively, but also going forward as well. And you have to acknowledge that, because Semedo going forward, it's not always his strong point, it's not always something that he thrives himself on, but certainly last night, when he could go forward, he did that. He took up the space that was on the right-hand side there, and we weren't good as a team going forward yesterday, so Semedo did really well, I feel, to create one massive goal-scoring opportunity in that second half, probably the best chance we had of the game. Suarez in on goal, he puts him through, lovely bit of play. Suarez should go across goal, he doesn't, he misses there at the near post into the side netting, a big chance missed, but Semedo, I feel, was very good, and that performance there should give him confidence, avoiding a yellow card as well, which would have meant that he'd have missed the next leg. He didn't get that though, and I'm sure he's going to be involved on Tuesday. But if we now move on to the all-important tactical aspect of this game, and it was a very, very interesting game, certainly for the neutral watching this. They would have watched that, looking at what United were doing, how they raised their level, how they raised their game, and also looking at Barcelona. We didn't exactly set the world alight, but we did do some things very, very well in the early exchanges. We got our goal, and this is basically how we set up here. We have the two centre-backs, Piqué and Clement Longley. A lot of the time, certainly in the opening exchange, we are really pushing Alba on and Semedo together, both of them at the same time, really pushing them on. What you then had was Sergio Busquets almost dropping back here as a third centre-back, occupying this space there with Romelu Lukaku. And what you had here for Man United was Marcus Rashford. He was drifting in between the lines. He wasn't a main striker. Lukaku was there as the vocal point. Rashford was certainly roaming in and around the space, trying to pick up these little pockets here and run in behind Barcelona whenever he could. What you had then in midfield was Busquets here, who was trying to sort of sit deep and start the play there, playing out the back. You had Arta here for the left and Rakitic to the right. Pogba was the most advanced United player on the night in the midfield, with Fred and McTominay doing a lot of good work. I think those two players particularly were very, very good for United last night. They were picking up all the loose balls in this area. McTominay and Fred really pressing high as well. They were very brave in their play last night, the way that they played. You had Coutinho from the left-hand side here. Messi here, I feel right throughout the game, had to drop far, far too deep to actually get the ball. We didn't supply him yesterday with the ball in United's half enough. He was having to drop in really deep to get the ball. And you know when Messi's getting the ball here, he's got to do an awful lot there to actually get it back, make those runs and actually pick it up where he can be dangerous in front of goal. And most of the time, like I said yesterday in my match review, it was Luis Suarez here who was massively, massively isolated between Lindelof, Chris Smalling. They dealt with him very, very well, I have to say. But at the end of the day, most of the time, it was a 2-on-1 situation. And in that kind of situation, the striker has got to do so much there to win that battle. Ashley Young here out on the right-hand side and Luke Shaw on the left, who will be suspended for the second leg. And what I would highlight then, after we scored our goal, the one big thing that we really failed to do, and it was all about this kind of area here, playing out of the back with Marc-Andre ter Stegen. You had Rashford here was certainly pressing high, Lukaku as well. Busquets is trying to get in position to sort of receive the ball, but he was being closed down. And I have to say yesterday, I was really, really surprised at how high Man United actually played. They certainly kept their line really, really high in the field. They were very brave in the way they played, and often they really did press us into submission, because we were bringing the ball out here with ter Stegen into Clement Longley. A lot of the time as well, the fullbacks were a bit too far advanced, a bit too far away to play the ball out, and suddenly then you had all the options covered. United really pressing us, and there were mistakes, and in the end they actually forced us all the time, because of how deep we were coming. It was always that long ball there up to Luis Suarez. Longley was playing that ball time and time and time again, a big long hoof really up to Suarez, who, like I say, was being manhandled there by Lindelof and Smalling. A lot of the time he was literally being manhandled as well. They had their arms around it, they were pulling on him all game long. The referee did allow, I feel, a bit too much of that, but Suarez there couldn't hold the ball up. And what that meant was United then were winning the ball back, and because of how high they were playing, because of how brave they were being in their press, they were winning it back, and suddenly they had all these players, all these options in the attacking half. They were able to play it into Fred, they were able to play into Pogba, McTominay. The midfield players were massively advanced, and suddenly they were in areas here that could actually hurt us as a team. They were winning the ball back so high up the field, they didn't have to do much then to actually get into the final third. That was our biggest problem. That's why here we had so many players trying to get back, trying to actually play that ball at the back. We were trying to get options here on the ball, trying to offer ourselves, but at the same time, in doing that, with Messi coming in here to try and get the ball deep, we were actually then so far in the field, so far deep in our own half, that United were happy there to really smother us. They kept the pressure on, they kept us penned in, and time again, they stopped that play out, and we didn't seem to be able to cope with that. It was a bit of nerves, I think, on the part of Clement Longley. Quite a few times he was making decisions that we haven't seen from him really in La Liga this season. He was very much out of sorts on the night. I think at the camp now, it's going to be very, very different. There's two massive reasons for that for me. And number one is all about this man here, Philippe Coutinho. And the reason for that is, and I'm singling him out not because of him as a player, but just the type of player that he is. He's not somebody who's going to be running in behind. He's not somebody who's got blistering pace. So Ashley Young here on this right-hand side didn't really have to worry an awful lot when he was coming forward, putting those crosses into the box. He knew that he had the pace there to get back in, stop Coutinho from advancing. That wasn't really a massive concern for Man United. I think Malcolm there certainly would have caused problems, but I want to actually say Dembele, because you imagine this situation in the second leg here where United are once again very brave, and like I say, I don't think they're going to do this at the Camp Nou. I don't think they're going to be able to play that high line, simply because they'll be very, very worried of what we can do in our own stadium, a bigger pitch, a wider pitch. We will make them pay for that kind of bravery. It will not work the same way. But imagine yesterday if we had Ousmane Dembele out on this left-hand side with the pace that he has. Not only the pace, but also the close control. He is a goal threat. He is a goal provider. He can do everything on the ball. And for that reason, United simply wouldn't have been able to be so open, because Longley would have played that long ball, but not to Suarez. It would have been in behind to Dembele, and suddenly then it's a race between Dembele, Ashley Young, Lindelof, and we know there Dembele has the pace, he has the power to go and beat them in those kind of areas and expose all of that space. And that's really the problem. Valverde, in the way that he played yesterday, he was conservative. We certainly looked to defend, and we did defend very, very well. At least if you're going to defend, do it well. Not like against Roma, where we were woeful defensively. Yesterday, we were better. I think we certainly could have got it United with Malcolm, with Dembele. We didn't choose to do that, but in the return leg now, we have to see a bit more positivity. We have to see us go for United more, because certainly United as a team, I feel, can be breached defensively. Even yesterday, we saw them with the way they played very well, but they still made defensive errors. You saw it a few times, even with those long balls. One went out to Suarez. Lindelof actually put it on a plate there for Suarez, actually made a bad back pass. He was actually in on goal, but think the problem was they actually surrounded him again, and Coutinho was far too far away, and that was the problem all game long. We were too far away from Suarez, we didn't have enough players up in support, we couldn't get out of our own half. United then were able to smother us, and we didn't really sustain any of our attacks there after we scored our goal. That was the big issue, and I think with Dembele, with a bit more of a positive mindset, with a bigger pitch, with our own fans, of course, absolutely no doubt about it, we will see a different game in the second leg. But at the same time, guys, we have to learn from this, because as you know, if we beat Man United, if we do get through in this quarter-final, we're going to be facing Liverpool, who in my opinion can press even better than Man United can. They've got even better attacking players than United do, and we will have to learn from that. What I will say though is, everything is subjective to that particular game. Just because we played like that against United yesterday doesn't mean we're necessarily going to play that way against Liverpool. The players raised their level, the players applied themselves based on that particular game only. Just because we played like that against United doesn't mean that you can already be writing us off against Liverpool. Things will change, things will develop, you can be in different moments of the season. Dembele, I'm sure if he can stay fit now, he's going to be there every single game, no doubt about that, posing a massive threat for the opposition to deal with. All of that will be coming, I can assure you, in the second leg. We will see a better Barca. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. What did you think of our performance yesterday? What do you think we can learn from? What do you think we have to do in that second leg? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you, as always, for your fantastic support right throughout this tie. All the videos before the game, brilliant thoughts, as always, from you guys. And of course, after the game now, analysing this, I really do appreciate your support. All of you guys coming back repeatedly to look at what I'm doing. It really does mean a lot to me. Thank you for that. I will see you soon, of course. Huesca is coming on Saturday. The game just doesn't stop. But until then, as always, Vasca el Barça.